There we go. Okay. Good morning, everybody. It's morning here in San Diego. I think everybody's a little bit spread out. Might be lunchtime for most of you. Thanks for coming. The paper that I'm presenting today is called, Does Depicting Gay Couples in Ads Influence Behavioral Intentions? How Appeal for Ads with Gay Models Can Drive Intentions to Purchase and Recommend. And I did this paper with a dear friend and colleague of mine, Bradley Bond, who is a professor of communication studies. So prior research actually has been done about a decade ago, and so it's a little bit outdated at this point, and we've seen a lot of changes in our society since the majority of the extant literature has been done. And so since then, we've seen the anti-LGB policy, Don't Ask, Don't Tell, that's been repealed. We've legalized same-sex marriage, and we've actually seen public opinion of LGB acceptance shift for the positive. And so we're seeing in the American cultural fabric a much greater acceptance of LGB individuals. And so Bradley and I wanted to take a look at that and see if there were any notable changes that were happening as far as how individuals viewed and reacted to advertising. We also see that LGB consumers are more likely to buy products from companies that they consider allies. They're more likely to spend more money with those companies, and they're actually even more likely to accept lower quality goods. And so something that we looked at in the paper as well are corporate allies. And those are companies that are very open about their acceptance of LGB individuals. They provide products that are in alignment with LGB individuals, or they support financially those causes that support LGB individuals. We've also used what we found to be distinctiveness theory. And so what distinctiveness theory means is that individuals respond favorably to ads that they identify with in terms of distinctive traits. And so we see this typically with minority individuals. And so a classic example that they cite in the literature is if Hispanic individuals are living in majority white populations, those Hispanic individuals are more likely to feel aligned with and be influenced by advertising that features Hispanic models or Hispanic characters. If there's Hispanic individuals living in a majority Hispanic community, we don't see this connection as deeply. And so this is important when we're talking about the LGB population, because they still are a minority. And so if they are existing in a community that is predominantly heterosexual, and they see an advertisement that features a gay couple, a lesbian couple, they're more likely to become aware of that, draw their attention to it, and be influenced by that as well. And so that says a lot about the rise and acceptance of different LGB advertisements that more mainstream companies are putting out there. We typically do see in LGB publications or in LGB communities, it is commonplace to have gay characters and individuals in those advertisements, but what's rare is in, like you'll see in our stimuli, companies like Target or Gap using these depictions of individuals in a relationship in a more broadly heterosexual environment. And so the research question that we sought to look at was, how do LGB and heterosexual consumers respond to LGB inclusive advertising? And our study was different than the extant literature in 4 primary ways. One, it moved beyond just measures of attitude. And so we looked at behavioral intentions of, are you likely to purchase from this company, and are you likely to recommend this advertised brand to your friends? Secondly, we included both heterosexual and LGB consumers. Most of the literature out there actually only looks at one or the other. And so they will look at heterosexual consumers and show them LGB advertisements, or they may look at LGB consumers but there really wasn't much scholarship out there that compared the two within the same study looking at the same exact stimuli. The third one was that we used real marketing campaigns from companies and presented them to participants in the context of a digital magazine. And fourth, we looked at, or we observed and evaluated the participants 3 weeks post-exposure to see if there were any temporal delay effects. And so even though we measured them at the point in time of seeing the advertisement, we also wanted to see if these effects lasted or if they had any kind of melt. So in our sample, we had a 50-50 split that was purposefully sampled through the company Precision Sample. And so we had 110 heterosexual participants. We had, and then a heavier split with gay consumers, though we had 24 lesbian consumers and then 18 bisexual. There was a fairly generally equal split between male and female. It was predominantly white and the mean age was 43. So our methodology is we created a digital magazine through issue. And we put on the guise that we wanted individuals to read through this digital magazine, and then we would ask them questions about the different ads and stories that were a part of it. And we wanted it to seem as natural as possible. And so you see here we had some more more non-stimuli advertisements with Sherwin-Williams here. We had some stories, can't sleep, these are the worst foods to eat before bed, and these were all pre-tested for their very kind of like uninteresting characteristics. And so we asked them, how offended are you by this? How excited are you by this? And we didn't want any ads that really created any kind of emotion in one way or the other. Sorry, I just got a 4-minute warning, that went fast. These are the stimuli that we looked at. We had 2 stimuli from Target, 2 from Gap, and 2 from Tiffany. You can see that we used a heterosexual option, and then we used a gay option. And so we were also we had also pre-tested these for the similar stimuli so that they weren't as emotion evoking as some of the others. We wanted them to seem natural within the context of the magazine. We measured our constructs at 2 points in time. We looked at how the ad congruity, did they match your sexual orientation, how appealing you found the ad to be, what your purchase intention was, and then the likelihood of you recommending that to a friend. So our results found that, consistent with prior literature, the strongest effects for purchase intentions and likelihood to recommend were the congruent ads with the LGBT population, and then also the congruent ads with the heterosexual population. However, what we found to be really encouraging and positive was that there wasn't much of a difference here between the incongruent ads with heterosexual and LGBT populations, and they were above the midpoint, which shows that there weren't actually any negative effects that the incongruent ads cause. And notably, we were looking here at the heterosexual and incongruent ads, because that's what the excellent literature said, that heterosexual individuals were put off and found incongruent ads, the LGBT ads, to be disgusting and unappealing to them. And that was what we were hoping to find, is that we do see this forward progress here with our society and acceptance into that. And these effects remain consistent the 3 weeks post-exposure. And so in our conclusions, we found that advertising appeal was the strongest predictor of behavioral intentions, and that heterosexual consumers may actually no longer experience the same kind of aversion that they once did. And so we've seen that this othering of LGBT individuals has actually waned. Managerially, it's important to know that LGBT consumers experience the most notable influence from the appealing ads. And so what practitioners should know is that Focus on making your advertisements appealing to the general public. Make them interesting, make them authentic, make them a good match with the brand. It's no longer as important for you to look at the consistency and the congruency between sexual orientation. And then also large brands should feel confident of incorporating this into their marketing campaigns. Future recommendations, we recommend to explore beyond gay men. That is a limitation that we had. All images and advertisements that we use featured gay men in relationships and not women. And something else to talk about really quickly was there is also a study by Northey et al. That looked at advertisements, and they actually found a little bit of different results than us. In this, they found greater disgust towards the gay inclusive advertising. However, what I think is the important distinction between our study and Northey et al. Study is that they use very highly explicit, as you can see here, advertisement. And though we see some social progress within our study, we may not be there in a very highly sexualized way. And so I think the implications for practitioners would be to display these relationships and these LGBT relationships, but perhaps not make them as overtly sexual as the advertisements used in Northey et al. Thank you very much.